Hi everyone, we are going to be continuing our work today on solving equations. I wanted to spend today's lesson recapping how to solve a two-step equation, make sure that we're happy with that before we move on to the more complicated ones later on in the week. Now, as we go through these examples, do feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can work through the example on your own or to review the steps that I've gone through to really make sure that you've understood it as we go along, okay? So we're starting here with our first equation, which is 2x plus 3 equal to 13. Now, what we talked about before was that as you go through and you solve equations, you use those inverse operations in order to get the variable, the x, all by itself. So when I'm talking about inverse operations, we know that the opposite of add is subtract, and we know the opposite of multiply is divide. Now that obviously works in the other way as well. So the opposite of subtract is add, opposite of divide is multiply. So we use those inverse operations in order to get the x variable all by itself. So looking at our equation right now with 2x plus 3 equal to 13, first thing that I would do is to subtract 3 from both sides because that's the opposite of add 3. So on the left-hand side, the add 3 and the take away 3 cancel, leaving us with 2x. And on the right-hand side, 13 take away 3, well, that leaves us with 10. Now for our next step, we need to remember that 2x does actually mean 2 times by x. So we do the opposite of times, which is divide, and we keep it balanced, doing that to both sides. So on the left-hand side, the times by 2 and divide by 2 cancel, leaving us with x, and 10 divide by 2 leaves us with 5. So the answer to our first equation then is that x equals to 5. Okay? So on to our second example here. We have got 5x minus 1 is equal to 14. Okay, so taking us through our steps, the inverse operation of take away 1 is add 1. We'll do that to both sides. When we add 1 to the left-hand side, that will then cancel with the subtract 1, leaving us with our 5x. And 14 add 1 gets us 15. We then remember that when they say 5x, that means 5 times by x. The opposite of times, divide. So the 5 times by x and then divide by 5 cancel, leaving us with x equal to 15 divided by 5, which of course is 3. So those are our first two examples set out in quite a similar fashion. We just changed that add of the constant to a subtract. So sometimes the equations look a little bit different. So that's what our third example will be. And our third example is 10 plus 2x is equal to 30. Now in this instance, they put the constant in front of the variable, but we just need to remember that that does mean the same thing as a 2x plus 10. So these two statements here on that left-hand side, the 10 plus 2x means the exact same thing as 2x plus 10. They are interchangeable. Okay, they're both positive, so if I add them as number plus variable or variable plus number, we get the same answer. So if you find it easier to look at it in the second way, where we've got the variable out front, feel free to just move things around and then we can continue. So I would subtract 10 from both sides. Those would cancel. leaving me with 2x equal to 20. We would then divide by 2. So that leaves us then with x equal to 10. Okay, so that's one equation where it looks a little bit different. Now the second one is a little bit different because we introduce a subtraction. 20 minus 3x is equal to 11. Now, as I said before, you can swap things around to make it look like we're used to, but the difference here is that we are subtracting a 3x. So if we want to put that minus 3x, that 3x out front, we need to keep it as a minus 3x. And this 20 here doesn't have a sign in front of it, which means that it is positive. So if we want to rearrange that one, we can, we just have to make sure to keep that minus sign attached to the 3x. We would then subtract 20 from both sides. So the add 20 and the minus 20 would cancel, leaving us with a minus 3x. And 11 minus 20, well, that is a minus 9. Now, at this stage here, just because there is that minus sign out front doesn't mean that the operation between the number and the letter has changed. It is still multiply. It's just that this time we're multiplying by that negative 3x. So we still do the opposite of multiply and we divide, but by negative 3. Divide negative 3. So that times negative 3 and divide negative 3 cancel, leaving us with x. And a negative 9 divided by a negative 3. Well, a negative divided by negative is positive. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our answer is that x equals to 3. So we've got two examples there where the equations start out looking a bit different. If that is the case, you can just move the number and the variable and swap them places. Okay, going on to our last two examples. Now we've got equations that involve a division of some sort. So we have got x divided by 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. Okay, x divided by 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. So with this kind of question, just like before, we start by getting rid of the add 4. Opposite of add 4 is subtract 4. And we will do that from both sides. Plus 4 and minus 4, well, those will cancel, leaving us with the x divided by 2. And 8 minus 4, well, that gets us 4. Now the opposite of divide by 2 is times by 2. And so we will take both sides and times them by 2. The divide and the times cancel, leaving you with x equal to 4 times by 2, which gets us 8. And there's our solution. Okay? Now there is another way that these divisions here might be written, and that is by using a fraction. So we might have something like x over 5, or x divided by 5, written as a fraction, minus 2 is equal to 3. So both of those equations have a division. It's just the one on the left is written using a division sentence. The one on the right is written out using a fraction, but both mean the same thing. Okay, So I will start by adding 2 to both sides. So that -2 and add 2 cancel, leaving me with x over 5 equal to, well, 3 plus 2 is 5. Now this, even though it's written as a fraction, it still means x divided by 5. So I'll do the opposite, times by 5. The divide by 5 and the times by 5 cancel, leaving me with x. And 5 times by 5 gets us 25. So that would be our final answer. Okay? So we have seen a few different styles of equations here today, similar to what you saw last week. Our standard 2x plus 3 equal to 13 kind of equation, where we would subtract the number and then divide by that coefficient. It might be written in a different way, in which case you can swap them around. Or we might have a division. It might be written with a division symbol, like we see on the left here, or it might be written as a fraction, okay? So what you can do now is to either take some time to review this again, or if you're feeling confident, you can move on to tackle the My Maths task. So it's up to you if you would like to do the My Maths lesson first and then do the online worksheet, or go straight to the worksheet. I shall leave that up to you. Okay? Good luck. Bye-bye. Is 25.